December 19th, 2020. Welcome, folks, to Short Shift Broadcasting, where we are covering the WOSCRL Throwback Series for their fifth round at Charlotte, North Carolina. We are actually running the old iRacing version of Charlotte, North Carolina, the 2008 scan of the track. They have made a newer one since then, but we are trying to do everything as much as we can in a throwback atmosphere. We are running the 87 Chevrolet Monte Carlo and Ford Thunderbird, as you well know by now. It looks like tonight we have 16 drivers entering this race, one of which is a new name. I believe that is Scott Ratliff. We have not seen Scott before, I don't think, and there he is. He's got a beautiful paint scheme on that Chevy machine there, the number 91 in State Farm colors. All right, let's take you to some information on tonight's event. The Charlotte Motor Speedway is a 1.5-mile D-shaped oval. As you can see, it's got pretty steep banking on the turns. It flattens out quite nicely on the tri-oval. Tonight's ambient temperature is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. We have a relative humidity of 34%. We have a partly cloudy sky and 6-mile-an-hour winds. The track temperature is 82 degrees, which is not all that hot. That is pretty good news for the driver. The cooler the track, the less slippery the conditions are. So let's see. We have a championship visual here for you that will show you the top 7 drivers. Oops, I think I made a mistake there. There is the top 6 drivers in there, and it looks like Luke Doran is leading the driver championship after 4 rounds with 158 points. Drew Ballesteros is second with 154. Then it's Chris Stouffer 133, Russell Bratka 128, Jim Foskett 128 as well. And then it's Todd Liston with 121. And I'm not really sure what mistake I made there, folks, but we'll get it figured out for next time. And as you can see, the Throwback Series is sponsored by Future Designs. Let me see here. Future Design Building Materials. And we certainly appreciate their support for the series, folks. And we are going to bring you back to the scoring overview here of the practice session that is about to come to a close here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Wishing you happy holidays already, and we have a little bit of time to bring to your attention a charity event that yours truly will be taking part in as well on tomorrow, Sunday the 20th, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be running a race to support Colton King. Colton King was hurt pretty bad in a tragic car accident on December 11th, and with this fundraising race, we want to support his family and support them financially as best as we can to make sure that Colton King has a full and speedy recovery. This race is going to be run at Talladega. It's 80 laps. The minimum donation is $10, of which 5 go into the purse. If you donate a little bit more, then still only 5 go into the purse, and the rest will go into the fundraiser pot. We're going to be racing the Cup cars at Talladega for 80 laps. If necessary, we'll have heat races. Before that, we will be accepting everybody that is willing to donate a minimum of $10. 62 drivers can be entered in total, and 43 drivers will start the feature event. If you want more information on this event, please check out our Facebook page, Short Shift Broadcasting. There will be information on there. And you can also check out the, let me see what the name of the series is, the Dreamers Racing Series. They are also the ones that are organizing this, as they have a Facebook page also, and they have a link on there in that post. So do we, by the way, where you can register for the race. So if you're not driving, Come and check us out. Yours truly will be in that race. It will be broadcasted by Extreme Sim Broadcasting. It will be broadcasted live. All right, it looks like we have just moved into the qualifying session here in Charlotte with the WOSR. Excuse me, the WOSCRL Throwback Series. It looks like we have the number 11 of Russell Bratka on the track already. We have several drivers on track, in fact, and let's see, most of which we already know. There is Drew Ballesteros, did very well in most of these races so far. Nicholas Post in the number 9 Napa machine. Scott Ratliff, the new driver in the number 91 car, and we are awaiting, folks, some qualifying times to come in here. That gives me still the opportunity to tell you that this is a fixed setup race, meaning that the drivers cannot alter too much on their car except for the brake bias and the steering ratio. They only have 5 tire sets to play with in the feature race, and the feature race, folks, will be 200 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, so quite a lengthy race actually this time. Jacob Wobry looks like he is currently the fastest driver on the track with a 31.447. Looks like he has changed up that livery a little bit. It looks a little bit more retro to me this time around. I really like it. Most of these drivers running these old 87 machines have painted their cars accordingly and somewhat retro as well, which is really cool. All right, we have Russell Bratka in the second position. His first lap was the one that did the trick, 31.464. Bobby Petricka in the nicely repainted 25 car. He is actually being scored. No, he is not. He is in the correct number. I apologize. It looks like Luke Doran. That was throwing me off. He picked up the provisional pole with a 31.319 and then messed up his second lap, as you could see there. Let's see what happened to him. He comes out of the banking, and it's really easy with these older cars to lose the back end. And once you get to fighting that car, you gotta be on your game to save it. So there you have it. Luke Doran, his first lap was good enough for the provisional pole position. Drew Ballesteros has pushed himself up into the second position with his first lap being a 31.389. His second lap was not quicker. And it looks like we still have Chris Stouffer in the number 13 car. He is still out there on track. He's put in 2 times and he has qualified in the 11th spot. We have Tristan Udiferis on track there in the number 10, the Interstate Ford Thunderbird. It looks like he's already scuffed the wall, and that is the reason we don't see a time posted for him just yet. Once you scuff the wall or go off track or lose the car, the system of iRacing will disallow that time. You have to run clean laps. It looks like Pate Albin was also on track in the number 55 machine, and he has posted a 32.371. That puts him currently in 13th position, and we are waiting for Tristan Udiferis to complete his qualifying run, and then yet to qualify are Skylar Grissom and Bruce Pearson. They might be opting to start in the back. Some drivers prefer it that way. Gives them a little bit of time to get into the groove of things. It looks like Tristan's running some extra laps here. And as the final 30 seconds of qualifying are ticking away, it doesn't look like we're going to see Grissom and Pearson post a qualifying time. And Tristan Udiferis has probably messed up both his laps because no lap was scored for him either. So that means that Grissom, Pearson, and Udiferis will be at the back of the pack. There you have it. We finished up qualifying. Let's quickly bring you the grid for the race. It looks like we have Luke Doran hanging on to that pole position there with Drew Ballesteros in second position alongside him. Then it's going to be Jacob Wobry and Russell Bradka on the second row. On the third row, we see Nicholas Post and Bobby Petricka. We see the fourth row with Scott Ratliff and Michael Bussell. Michael was, I believe, new last race, so he's a fairly recent addition to this series as well. Fifth row for Jim Foskett and Ben Shelton. Then we have the sixth row for Christopher and Lawrence Shaughnessy, also a fairly recent addition to the series, I believe. Seventh row for Pate Albin and Skylar Grissom, and then Bruce Pearson and Tristan Ferris are rounded out. 16 drivers in the field here tonight, folks. So 200 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. No fast repairs. If they damage the car, that will be it. They have to deal with it with manual repairs, for which obviously iRacing calculates time in the pits. When they get stuck on the track without being able to move the car anymore with that much damage, they can actually take what they call a virtual tow. That means they hit the escape button, the car will be placed on pit road. iRacing will calculate time for that tow, and then after that the car will be worked on. Good sized field. It looks like we are waiting for Skylar Grissom in the number 24 car. He is supposed to be alongside Pate Albin there, so hopefully Skylar can get into the field here. Would always be a pity if there is a technical issue that stops you from starting your race, but it does happen every once in a while. It's internet based, folks, so connections can go a little bit south every once in a while. We've had that issue ourselves as well. It looks like Skylar is not moving on the grid, and I'm not sure if he's on pit road. I haven't seen him at all, so hopefully he will be joining us here shortly. Luke Doran in a what I believe is a new paint scheme there, the Oreo Ritz machine. Chevy on pole, Ballesteros in the Thunderbird on alongside him, and then there's a whole bunch of Chevys trying to put those Fords in their place. But we have 200 laps to go, folks, so a lot of stuff can change here. As said, if Skylar doesn't join us, we will be having 15 drivers on the track. So hopefully Skylar will be able to join us. He might be picking up the role of admin or race control. That is very well possible.
Green flag, green flag.
There we have the call on the radio, folks. The drivers have hit the throttle, down the pedal, down to the metal, and it looks like Doran has a pretty good jump on the field here, picking up the lead, and it is Drew Ballesteros on the outside in that black Ford Thunderbird. He is staying ahead of Jacob Wobry. We already have a yellow flag. It looks like Michael Bussell is one of the drivers involved here. Michael Bussell, there he goes. He gets a little touch from the 91, and then he bounces off the wall and collects somebody else there. I couldn't see directly who that was. Let's take that back for you one more time. We are still basically looking at the start of the race. Look up top there. It looks like the 91 washes up a little bit and bounces the number 12 into the wall. And it does look like Bussell is moving. He is smoking, so I'm afraid that's going to be lengthy repairs on that machine. So he is going to find out that without a fast repair, you lose an enormous amount of time, obviously, and he will be way behind. It'll be a challenging night for Michael. He did very well last week. I believe this is his second outing, and he just simply got collected here. Looks like we have Jim Foskett coming down pit road in that number 47 Thunderbird. Bruce Pearson also in the Thunderbird coming down pit road. And they might just be topping it off. Some drivers, when they're in the back of the field, it doesn't matter under yellow if you are in the back of the field and you take a pit stop. You're already in the back. You're going to get the chance to catch up. So you'll be topped off there. Obviously, after 3 laps, it's not going to gain you that much, but there's some drivers that just use the opportunity, and why not? If it doesn't cost you anything. Bruce Pearson back out on his way. It looks like Jim Foskett is also out on his way, and I'm afraid Mike Bussell is going to be there for a while. He is going to have to wait until his crew fixes that machine. Luke Doran in the lead still, followed by the number 22 of Drew Ballesteros, Jacob Wobry in the number 51. Again, new livery and a very period appropriate, I should say. Russell Bratka in the number 11 car. And then the top 5 is rounded out by Bobby Petricka, who picked up 1 spot since the start of the race. Big gainer here is Tristan Udiferis. He has gained 5 positions since the start. So Tristan doing a good job here tonight. Chris Stouffer picked up 3 positions already in the few laps that we have been driving. So for those of you unfamiliar with iRacing and their content, these are the replicas of the 87 NASCAR machines, the Chevy Monte Carlo and the Ford Thunderbird from 1987, as driven by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Bobby Elliott. And they have brought these back for people to enjoy, and that's one of the big fun parts of racing simulators. You can drive these old machines that would be worth a lot of money in a museum, but you can race them just like any other car on iRacing, and they have done a tremendous job of bringing back the old-time handling of these machines. And as far as I can judge, obviously, because I've never driven one in real life, but as far as we can judge, they've brought back that feel of those older cars really well. It looks like the lights on the pace truck have been turned off. That means that we're going to go back to racing, going into lap number 6. Bussell obviously still on pit road, waiting for the crew to get done with that machine. I believe the league has put effort into keeping the rules as time period correct as well. We are doing single file restarts. Lapped cars will be on the bottom line if we have any, but yeah, we try to run this league as much as we can according to the rules of that era. And it looks like everything is closing up here, and we are getting back to racing here, folks, at Charlotte, North Carolina. It is Luke Doran that has a pretty good jump on the field. Drew Ballesteros in second position. Chris Stouffer making a pass there on Scott Ratliff. Scott in that 91 car in his debut here at the Throwback Series, being followed by Ben Shelton in the number 15 Thunderbird. Lawrence Shaughnessy in the number 9 Monte Carlo. He is being scored as number 3, but he's got number 9 on the paint job, folks. That is always a little bit confusing. It looks like Stouffer is actually the quickest car on the track with a 33.342. Doran pulling away a little bit there from Ballesteros. He's got about a car length in between there, and then there's about a car length to Russell Bradka. Obviously, folks, it is still early in the race. Drivers are taking their time to settle in. It looks like Jacob Volbry is a little bit further back, and he's got Bobby Petricka ready to make a move here. Meanwhile, it is Bradka that takes away that fastest lap on the track, 31.605. Bobby Petricka getting racy with Wobry there, and he's moving to the inside, going into turn number 3, and it looks like he is going to take that position from the 51 car. Bobby Petricka moves into 4th. Tristan Uliferis extending his push forward. He has passed Lawrence Shaughnessy, and he has picked up 10th position. Doran coming under threat now from Drew Ballesteros. Drew is putting pressure on the number 4 driver, and looks like he has passed him going into the tri-oval. They're still side by side, but it looks like the 22 can clear him going into turn number 1, lap 10. So a change for the lead here. And as said, folks, they only get 5 sets of tires to play with, which means that tire management is definitely going to be a factor in this race. It looks like Luke Doran is also coming under pressure from Russell Bradka. Bobby Petricka and Jacob Volbry are there in that top 5 group there. They are about half a second or so ahead of Chris Stouffer. Russell Bradka picks up 2nd position from Luke Doran there. And it looks like Drew Ballesteros is clearing them by about 2 or 3 car lengths. Bradka has a little bit of a wiggle there, and it looked to me like Doran also had a bit of a sliding moment there. And Wobry and Petricka are dropping off there by about a half a second, and it looks like Stouffer is picking up the pace and catching up with these guys. Nicholas Post there in the number 9 car following Stouffer. Drew Ballesteros back, has been reeled in already, and it looks like Russell Bradka is getting ready to take that lead away from him. Luke Doran in the number 4 car coming back at the 22. It looks like that top side is really not working as well as the drivers would have hoped. So it may take a little bit of time for that top line to rubber in and give the drivers the grip they need up there. Right now it looks like if you're not on the bottom, you're kind of caught out. And Drew is finding that out with the 51 coming underneath him. It looked to me like the 51 got a little bit loose there coming off the turn, had to get out of the gas, and that means dropping off through 3 or 4 positions there. The 91 catching up with him, that is Scott Ratliff. Meanwhile, folks, Michael Bussell is still on pit road. He has not moved yet, and he is still hoping for that car to be fixed up a little bit. Bradka pulling away from Doran. Ballesteros coming under pressure from the 25 of Bobby Petricka. Yeah, we can ride along with Bobby here. Give you an idea what the inside looks like. And as you can see, folks, iRacing goes into detail. Even the fan that cools the driver's feet has been replicated in this model. It is really very nice. And as you can see from the movement of the hands of the driver, these drivers are constantly correcting their car. This is way more of a handful than the modern Cup cars that these guys can also drive on iRacing. This is absolutely a lot more work. The cars are heavy, the cars are clunky, there's more suspension movement, the center of gravity is higher, so there's a lot more to do here in these machines. It really takes a lot of patience and a lot of practice to get this right. Looks like things are settling down a little bit here. Bradka is still leading, but he is not having it all that easy. Although I do believe that the drivers behind him are kind of taking a cautious and patient approach here, as we still have quite a few laps to go, and as said, we only have 5 tire sets to play with. They only get 4 tire changes during this race, and that means that they really need to be a little bit careful. Although on some tracks we've heard drivers talk about the fact that the tires will fall off at 15 to 20 laps. They start falling off a little bit, but then again they also complained to me that the tires, just the new tires, just really don't feel all that much better. So back in the old days, obviously the tires were a different breed of progress than the modern day tires. You saw Drew Ballesteros pick up second position again from the number 4, who got caught out on that high side for a little bit here. It looks like Bobby Petricka is having a little bit of more trouble to get underneath him, and it is in his turn Stouffer in the 13 that pushes hard to get past Bobby. You can see these drivers allow for quite a bit of room around each other. They've learned that pretty quickly during this season, that you really need a little bit more room to race than you do with the modern day cup cars. These cars just simply slide around a little bit more, and if you would try to race inch to inch and doorknob to doorknob, you would definitely get each other in trouble. Bradka still in the lead here in the number 11 machine. It looks like everything is just getting a little bit more settled down and stable. It is there are no real close fights on the track right now. People are just kind of settling in and following, saving their machines and saving themselves. Stouffer has Wobry behind him. Ballesteros is about 2/10 of a second behind leader Russell Bradka. It looks like Drew is catching up with him, and Doran is in 3rd position. Oh, there's about a half a second in between there, I would say. Then it's Bobby Petricka. And I will say, folks, I've been with this series for since the start of their new season, and I will say that all these drivers have quickly adapted to this car, and it looked like they got it under control and adapted their driving style to this machine really well. The first race we had quite a few cautions, and then the further we got into the season, the better the racing really got. They are definitely getting more patient with this machine, and they do a very good job of keeping the races clean, and as said, they give each other a little bit more room so they can actually race each other without knocking each other off the track or into the wall. And obviously that takes a little bit of discipline. You know, sometimes it's a little bit against your nature to be patient in a race car, because the name of the game obviously is going fast and being as fast as you can be. But one racing driver, famous racing driver, Niki Lauda, once said, the name of the game is not going as fast as you can. The name of the game is going as fast as you need to go to win. That's what it is. So that can often mean that you take a little bit of a breather here and there, and that's sometimes what these guys have to do to make sure that they make it to the end. Because rule number 1, if you wanna finish first, you first have to finish, obviously, and that sometimes means that you got to pick your battles. But Drew Ballesteros is picking his battle right now. He is moving to the inside of Russell Bradka. And again, as you can see, they give each other a little bit of room. They allow for a little bit of slip sliding around. Looks like Luke Doran is getting ready to move on Bratka as well. That higher side does not seem to work, although I do say that Russell is working that higher side a little bit better already. So it might actually be coming in fairly quickly here. As said, track temperatures are not very high. That makes for pretty good grippy asphalt. The hotter it gets, the more greasy the track gets. Bratka is successfully defending his first position against Ballesteros here. And it looks like Bobby Petricka is staying on that bottom for underneath that 4 car really well. Chris Stouffer looking for an opening, but he's kind of boxed in there behind the 4 and on the higher side of the 25. And as we progressed through the season, we also saw that the racing became closer and closer. These guys are really matched up nicely. It's not like one guy is always taking the lead and coming home with the victories. Everybody's got a good chance and a good shot at winning these races, and that's what makes the racing in this series a lot of fun. Wolbury and Post are at the tail end of this group there. Post in 7th position. Let's go a little bit further back. We have Tristan Udeferis working his way up through the field and now in 8th position and closing in on this group. Scott Ratliff in the number 91 car is about a second back from Ferris. And then it's Lawrence Shaughnessy, Jim Foskett, and Ben Shelton, Pate Elbin. And Pate is making a move on Shelton there. And then it's Bruce Pearson in the final position. It looks like Bruce has brushed it up against the wall there at some point. He is struggling a little bit here tonight, and he is in 14th position, 21 seconds down from Ben Shelton. So he is kind of hoping for a yellow and get a pit stop and get that car fixed up and get some new rubber on there so he can give it another go. Drew Ballesteros going for the lead once again. Russell Bratka slotting in behind him there in 2nd position. Luke Doran right on their tail, and then Chris Stouffer has passed Petricka. He is now in 4th position. Russell Bratka coming under pressure from the number 4 of Doran. And it looks like Bruce Pearson has decided he can't wait for the yellow any longer. He is bringing it in. You see him wobbling that steering wheel. It looks like that car is not running straight anymore. It may have been that he brushed the wall hard enough to offset the alignment of the machine. Cambers and settings like that can be thrown off when you hit the wall. He is getting new tires. So hopefully Bruce can get it all back under control again and continue on. Nope, Bruce has decided to call it a night. He has left the race. That's unfortunate. That means we have 13 drivers still on the track. Michael Bussell is still on pit road, but hasn't driven for quite some time since his early incident. No such problems for the guys up here in the lead. It's Drew Ballesteros holding off Russell Bratka. And we've seen Drew Ballesteros up front quite a bit in this series. He's a very good and smooth driver. I think his driving style suits this car very, very well. He is very good at managing his tires and not overdoing it. He's always very strong on the longer runs. And tonight here on lap 34, he's given us another demonstration of how to work this machine. Wolbury in the back there of that group in 6th position, closing in on Patrica again. Stouffer is there as well. All Chevys there. Looks like Ballesteros is keeping up that Ford Oval in the lead here, but he has got 5 Chevys chasing him down. The first of which is Russell Bratka, who is already keeping up that pressure. And that's part of how you play this game. You want to keep up the pressure a little bit, try to force the guy ahead of you to make slight mistakes, and then you try to take advantage of those little mistakes to get underneath somebody and pass him. But the problem for Bratka is that Drew Ballesteros makes very few mistakes. He's a very solid driver. Doran and Stouffer, a little bit of a gap between there. I would say 3 or 4 car lengths maybe. And then Bobby Patrica in the number 25. Scott Ratliff in that number 91 is about a 1.5 seconds behind the Nicholas Post. And it looks like Lawrence Shaughnessy is about a 0.5 second behind him. And at the tail end of the field, folks, it is all a little bit more stretched out. Obviously, Jim Foskett in the number 47. Then it's Pate Albin in the number 55. And it is the final running driver in the 15 of Ben Shelton. Ooh, looks like Ben is a little bit loose coming off the turn there. And if we look at his right front, you can see that that has been crumbled up a little bit. That means he has been in the wall. Ballesteros going strong at the lead here. Bratka is just trying to keep that pressure on there a little bit as much as he can. It looks like he is going into the turn a little bit deeper than Ballesteros. And that also could mean that he's asking a little bit more of his tires as he comes in and slides that car into the turn. And as said, folks, the tire management is definitely a part of this game. 5 tire sets for the race may sound like a lot, but it basically means that you have to make them last for at least 40 laps. And obviously we're not going to see anybody go into the pits to change anything unless they really have to. So when it stays green, these guys will try to get the most out of it. They will probably not pit until they really have to for fuel. Yeah, let's ride along with Luke Doran there in 3rd position. It looks to me like the track is actually quite smooth. We've been on some a lot rougher tracks. It looks like Luke's car is handling quite well still after 42 laps. And especially there where we are leaving turn number 4, coming into the tri-oval where the track really unloads, the banking really unloads. That is a tricky part there where it's very easy to oversteer the car, to lose the back end. The fairly quick unloading of the banking, I'll show you what I'm talking about right Here you see the banking unload fairly quickly. The car kind of falls down at the top there, and it means that you just basically have a little bit less weight on the rear end, so you really have to be careful not to pound that throttle too hard. Looks like Bratka is once again trying a little bit harder, slotting in behind the 22. 22 taking a bit of a defensive line there. Doran is definitely closed in on him. It looks like Stouffer has dropped off about a half a second. There we have Stouffer in that number 13 car. Ballesteros, ooh, it looks like Bratka is coming underneath the 22 right now. Let's see if Drew can make that higher line work as well as Bratka could earlier. And it looks like Drew Ballesteros just slots in behind that 11 car and then comes back underneath, what we call the over-under. Ooh, Bratka having a little bit of a connection issue there. Dropping off our screen. And especially for the drivers around him, that can be a little bit tricky as well. It's very hard to battle somebody that you sometimes can't see. And of course, it's still internet and it's still a simulation. Stuff like that just is a little bit a part of it, unfortunately, and they're doing their best to keep it to a minimum, but yeah, unfortunately, sometimes you just can't help that kind of stuff. I kind of look at it as the digital equivalent of mechanical issues in real life. We can't really well, we can blow the engine if we abuse it, but obviously in real life an engine could blow just because of part failure, and I guess, you know, connection or computer failure, that is something that is kind of our equivalent of mechanical failures. Ooh, Bratka up. Oh, Bratka hits the wall. Ooh, he lost it there. Let's bring that back. And it may also be he's a little bit taken by surprise by the blinking of Ballesteros' car. He scrubs the wall, not very hard, but still he drops off to 4th position behind Stouffer. Ballesteros has a little bit of breathing room for a little bit here. Going into lap number 50 at the end of this lap here. Luke Doran in 2nd position, and again, I take my hat off for these guys, how close they are still after 50 laps. We've been doing a long green stint here. The amount of incidents in every race have been drastically reduced since the progression of this season. These guys are really adapted to this machine, and long green stints sometimes obviously mean that the field gets really stretched out, but look at these top 4 drivers. They're all within a second here. And then in 5th place, it's Tristan Udeferis, who has worked his way up through the field, now running in 5th position. He is 2.4 seconds behind the man ahead of him. That's Russell Bratka at this point. But those first 4 drivers are yeah, they're well within a second there. And Ferris looks like he is doing his best to catch up. It looks like Bobby Petricka has got a little bit more issues with tire wear, maybe, because he's dropped off quite significantly. He's 3 seconds behind Tristan Udeferis. And there you see the damage on Ben Shelton's machine. It looks like Jacob Rolbury has decided to bring it in. He is the first one coming into the pits after this long green stint. He thinks it's ready. He is ready for fuel and tires. And even the simulated pit stops are not going quite as fast as they are these days. Cars have to be jacked up quite a bit higher than the modern Cup cars, as you can see. It looks like Ratliff is also coming in his 91 car. Wolbury is ready to move on. There he goes. Ballesteros still in the lead. Doran and Stouffer behind him. Then it's Bratka at the tail end of this group. Tristan Udeferis is actually dropped off a little bit there. And he's got the 15 of Ben Shelton coming back at him. And the 9 of Nicholas Post. That is not for position, folks. These guys are further back and a couple of laps down. Ratliff back out of the pits. And Ballesteros still doing his thing here up at the front. Lap number 55. And the guys that are in blue on the left of your screen there are all a lap or more behind, and that's mainly because they have already pitted. Wolbury at 51, and then Ratliff at 52, Ben Shelton at lap 46, Nicholas Post at lap 41. Pate Elbin has gone. We missed what happened to him. Don't believe he had a crash, because I would have seen that. No, the only thing I can't find any significant situation on Pate Elbin here. It may have been a connection that he lost. Oh, it looks like we're having a few hiccups ourselves here. Stouffer dropping off a little bit as well at this point. He is almost a half a second behind Doran at lap number 58. I'm expecting these guys to all be coming in fairly quickly. But there's definitely a difference in how long some of these guys can make that machine work. Drew Ballesteros is still running 32.5 as lap times, whereas the people that have pitted, like Jacob Wolbury, they are running under 32 seconds. Not sure if you can see that on your screen, but if you look really closely into the cars, you can see that even the helmet was created to be appropriate for the time. Those guys were back then still using open face helmets in these tin top cars, even though the full face helmet was already broadly used in racing. The NASCAR drivers stuck with the open face, the jet helmet, for quite some time. Bobby Petricka bringing it on pit road. Ooh, misses his pit there. Michael Bussell still waiting for that car to be worked on. I'm not sure if he's willing to bring it back out, but it looks like they fixed it up a little bit. Bratka now coming in the number 11 car. And Bobby Petricka is ready to go back out. Ballesteros and Doran still going at it, going into lap number 62. very consistent lap times for Drew Ballesteros. He keeps it at 32.5 pretty much all the time. And as you can see, looking at his car, he is not moving around all that much. He's not slip sliding. He's got this stuff under control. Once again, folks, I think this is a driver that his style is really well suited for these machines, and he's very smooth with them. And that's what makes him a very, very fast and competitive driver in this series. If we bring up the pit strategy board here, it looks like we have drivers getting over 63 laps on their fuel stint at the top there, and Foskett in 6th position, pitted last on lap number 2 after that incident, and then further down drivers have pitted. Let's bring up the dashboard here and show you the speeds of these machines at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. On them, there we go, right over about 170 on the tri-oval, and then into the turns we lose a little bit of speed. We're scrubbing that away down to about 150, and then back up the speed on the backstretch. And meanwhile, we have Tristan Udeferis trying to keep it under 55 there on pit road, bringing it in for his first pit stop. Both Ballesteros and Doran doing a very, very good job here. Very steady on. And I'm sure they're both feeling that those tires have had their best lifetime, but they're not willing to give up the track position just yet. There is Lawrence Shaughnessy coming off of 5th position right now to get service. And the number 10 of Tristan Ferris back on his way. And Shaughnessy is also back out. Jim Foskett bringing it in. The number 47 driver. It does look like he's got a little bit of damage on the right rear. No signs of slowing down for Drew and Luke. And Stouffer also still within reach here. Top 3 drivers close together. Still waiting for their first pit stop. There comes the 47 of Foskett back on the track. Takes him a little bit to get going, obviously. And there they come into the pits. Ballesteros is bringing it in. Doran is staying out. It's Stouffer that's right behind him here going into the pits. So Doran is the one that is running the longest on this first set of tires. Lap number 70, and he is still out there. Lap time's creeping up towards the 33-second mark. So I expect him not to be out that much longer because the drivers on new tires will catch up with him really quickly. Doran is currently the only driver on the lead lap. Everybody else, due to their pit stops, is a lap down or more, and looks like Ballesteros beats out Stouffer, but only just. Now, coming back onto the track here is a little bit tricky as well because you're on the apron. There's a little bit of banking on the apron, but you're trying to accelerate, obviously, and the banking is not that steep on that apron, so it's very easy to lose the car there and wash it up onto the track and get a penalty for merging onto the track too soon. Luke Doran brings it into the pits there, out of the lead. And we'll have to see, there's Bratka coming on to turn 3 and 4. Doran is still being worked on. There he goes. He is coming back out. It's going to take him a bit to get up to speed. There is Bratka coming through towards turn number 1. Can we bring them both into the picture? There you have it. Russell Bratka takes the lead after the pit stops. And the difference here being, folks, that Russell Bratka pitted on lap 60, so he's been doing 10 laps on fresher tires, which obviously make him quicker by about a half a second a lap. And that is the reason you will see Russell now in the lead, and now he's being challenged by the number 22 of Drew Ballesteros on the freshest tires. They are, ooh, they touch there. They touch there. That is something we don't see very often here. Look at what happens. The 22 is a little bit on the high side, and the 11 is trying to arc into the turn. They touch, and the 11 washes up into the wall. And he's got some damage on the right front, trying to get back up to speed. He is still moving, but he dropped back to 4th position. And it's cost him about 5 seconds there. That was very unfortunate. Don't see much of that happening in this league, but every once in a while there can be a little bit misunderstanding between the drivers. Ballesteros having about a half a second there on Stouffer. Well, it's less than that. And then it's Doran in 3rd and Bratka in 4th, but he is losing time. He is definitely not up to speed. He is losing time each lap. Deficit creeping up to over 4 seconds. We have Scott Ratliff off the track. Let's see what happened to him. Into the tri-oval, the number 47 underneath him. He just bounces off the wall there, totally on himself. And it looks like he comes to a halt on the racing line. He's actually gone off the track here, and he's now moving on the apron, so we're not going yellow because it was not obstructing or endangering anybody. And it looks like he's going to bring it into the pits there. Yes, it looks like he is needing some repairs. And there you see Ballesteros still going at it. They're going by the 15 of Ben Shelton there. Ballesteros, Stouffer, and Duran, all three still close together. Now they're coming up on the number 20 car, I believe, of Pearson. Actually, Michael Bussel's back out. Look at that. He is back out at running some laps here. 58 laps down, but the car's been fixed up good enough to try and compete some more. Ratliff taking long in the pits. And that is the number 10 car of Tristan Ferris. He is running in 9th position, so he had very good progress there earlier on, but he got a little stuck there at the tail end of the top 10. Traffic is going to be a factor for these guys. That is pretty obvious, especially when Ferris and Nichols Post are racing for position. Well, they're actually not racing for position. Post is 2 laps down, 5 laps down. And Ferris is about to go 1 lap down. Ooh, there was a little misunderstanding there as well. The 22 had to get out of that, and the 13 almost ran into the back of him. Ferris washing up really high there. But they're all through. The 22, the 13, and the 4. It looks like Doran is lucked out a little bit more than the other two getting past these guys, but he's catching up pretty quick. Bradka is still moving. He's lost a lot of time. That car is damaged. The airflow is not very ideal anymore, and it's costing him time. He is 7.7 seconds down from Luke Doran. So he is probably just trying to salvage whatever he can salvage in this race here. Ratliff still on pit road. And as you can see, folks, the simulation time is on late afternoon. The sun is starting to set there, and that is actually helping the drivers a little bit. It cools down the track, obviously. The sun's not shining on that full speed anymore. And again, a cooler track gives them better grip. Stouffer is... looked like he was sliding up a little bit there, and it looks like Doran has caught up with the both of them. Shaughnessy losing the position here to Jim Foskett, 7th and 8th position. And there comes Luke, trying to get underneath the number 13, and it looks like he can make it stick into turn number 1. And the field's actually stretching out a little bit. Foskett and Shaughnessy still Still going at it here for 7th and 8th position. That's pretty close. And then the lead battle, Ballesteros, Duran, and Stouffer, that is pretty close, but the rest of them are all stretched out away from each other quite a bit. And as said, Stouffer, Drew Ballesteros doing a very good job here at the lead position. Very smooth. Been on the set of tires that he's on now since lap 69, so about 20 laps on him. And we see those lap times moving up a little bit towards the 33-second mark once again. But they're all pretty close. They're all in that 32.8 region there. Bradka is the only one that's a little bit slower. He's 9 seconds down now. Ratliff still on pit road. Yeah, Luke Duran is definitely starting to put a little bit more pressure on Drew. And at the same time, he's not overdoing it. That's pretty smart driving. It's very easy to become too eager and start overdriving your car and slip sliding on that right front, rear front, and burn those tires away. Ooh, Ballesteros into the wall. Let's see what happened here. Just got a little bit up too high. There you have it. Just a slight touch, but still. Doesn't seem to have hurt the car all that much. Stouffer has picked up second position again. And he's going for it. Down on the bottom, going into turn number 1. And I think Drew is just going to let him go for now. The 4 takes advantage of the 22 being a little high there and picks up second position. The car behind the 22, that is the number 10 of Tristan Udeferis. He is in 9th position, so he's not racing these guys for position. He's just trying to unlap himself. Ben Shelton is on pit road in the number 15 car, ready for tires again. And Ratliff has still not moved since he went in. Getting close to the halfway mark here at Charlotte, North Carolina. And once again, very, very competitive racing at the top of the field here. Very smooth drivers. Looks like Shaughnessy is on pit road as well in the number 9 machine. Ready for his tires. And he's actually not even reaching his pit. He took a tow there through the pit lane. That seems a bit unnecessary. Ooh, the number 15 is in trouble. Let's see what happened to the number 15. I think I went back a little too far or not enough. Wait a minute. What's going on? There it is. Oh, let's bring it back a little bit further. He's on the backstretch going into turn number 3. And it looks like it just gets away from him on the back there. He saves it by hitting the brakes. That's pretty good. Then he's on the grass, and he doesn't want to move right onto the racetrack, I guess, because he would definitely get other people in trouble, so he takes a tow to the pit. And he has been there for a while. Ratliff is back out. He's moving. He's now in 12th position, 20 laps down. Stouffer is still leading Doron and Ballesteros. All three still very close together and very competitive. It looked like that number 13 had a little bit wide entry there. Thought for a moment that the 4 could get underneath, but he wasn't close enough. And finishing up lap number 100, folks. We are exactly halfway into this race, with Chris Stouffer, Luke Doran, and Drew Ballesteros still at the head of the pack here. Russell Bradka in 4th position after he scrubbed the wall, being pushed up by the 22, actually in a bit of a racing incident, and since then he's been struggling to keep the pace. He's running 32.9 as lap times, and he's dropped off slowly but surely to about 10 seconds deficit on Drew Ballesteros. Jacob Wobry is 5 seconds behind Bradka. Then it is Jim Foskett 6 seconds behind Wobry. Petricka is fairly close behind Foskett there. Ferris is 11 seconds behind Petricka. And then it's a long way down to Nicholas Post, 6 laps. Lawrence Shaughnessy has called it a night. It looks like he is done for the night. Then we have Ben Shelton still running. Nope, Ben Shelton has also called it a night. Well, that is good news for Scott Ratliff. He's back out again. So all he has to do is just run his laps, and he'll gain two to three positions, 2 positions there easily. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. When you're still in the beginning and the first half of the race, you can still make up something. You never know what's going to happen to the others. Looks like Pate Albin has also called it a night, and Bussell is still moving. It's not the prettiest of machines anymore, but they got it fixed up good enough where he can run some laps. Now he is 59 laps down from the leaders. He's 39 laps down from Ratliff, so he's going to have to keep on moving. But there's still something to gain. Pearson is out, and Skylar Grissom did not take the start, as you may recall. I'm fairly sure he's the race control. He is at race control right now. Stouffer, Doran, and Ballesteros still there for the lead. It looks like Ballesteros is having a little bit of trouble. Not that much, though. He may have just given himself a little bit of a breather there, trying to save his tires. And folks, as you can see, back markers are becoming a part of this once again. That was the 91 of Ratliff that they were passing there, and it looks like Jacob Wobry is back on pit road on lap number 108, followed in immediately by Bobby Petricka. And the top three guys still clinging together here. And the evening definitely settling in here at Charlotte. Looks like we're getting under darker skies right now. Stouffer, Duran, and Ballesteros are still leading the race. All three of them have been together for quite some time. Ballesteros has been leading for quite a long time, actually, and Stouffer and Duran taking their turns at it. Radka fallen off still. He is now 12 seconds down from Ballesteros. Then another 11 seconds to Jim Foskett and another 10 to Tristan Ferris. And he is the first one of the lap drivers, only one lap down, and as you can see from there on down, it gets a little bit more difficult to overcome with Wobry 2, Petricka 2, Post 6 laps down. And there we see Doran challenging for the lead here, lap number 113. The 22 of Ballesteros is closing in on that 4 as well. And it looks like Luke Doran can make it stick here, and they're slotting back in single file. And Drew is still looking to the inside. These guys have been in the pits last right around lap 70, so I think it'll be a while before we see him coming back in. Ooh, Ratliff is in trouble. Let's see what happened to him. Ooh, he blows the engine. blows the engine. And Michael Bussel's still moving. Tristan Udeferis coming down pit road. And he's actually already been there. I think he just drove through. Doran Ballesteros. Ballesteros picked up second position again. Stouffer now in third. The biggest gainer in this race is still Tristan Udeferis, taking 10 positions since the start of the race. He's coming back into the pits. I think he just missed his pit stall on the previous attempt. And he's back in to try again. Well, he did go off track at some point. There we have it. He's bounced against the wall. That's what happened the first time. He didn't go into pit road the correct way. He bounced off the wall there. That's what happened. Well, that explains it. Now he's back on his way. Doran and Ballesteros and Stouffer, they are still on their way. This battle is lasting pretty much the entire race. They're all three of them doing some really good driving here. And I don't believe it's going to be too long before they're going to put a lap on the 47 of Foskett. Bratka is 14, now 15 seconds behind the leaders. Ferris back in again. He had a promising start the first part of the race, worked his way up quite a bit through the field there. Started, I believe, in final position, or 15th position, and worked his way into the top 10. But he seems to be having some more trouble right now. Well, he may have bent up that suspension again. We saw him wiggling a while back, and he's beaten the wall again pretty hard. So maybe that's what he's having them work on. As you can see, we still have at least another 15 or so laps on fuel on board for these guys. Going around the number 9 of Nicholas Post, Jim Foskett takes it to pit road. And it looks like Bratka is following that example. Lap number 126. Well, he's got to try something. I mean, he's not at speed anymore. Maybe he can have him pound out some of that damage, get some fresh tires, and move on. Ballesteros has brought it back to the lead. And these three drivers you see here, now the only ones left on the lead lap. Wobry, Patrica, Foskin, all 2 laps down or worse. So these 3 guys are really matched up to each other. And it kind of looks like most of the other ones have all run into some sort of issue. Doran working running a little wide there. 13 comes underneath. Stouffer picks up 2nd position. It looks like Bobby Patrica is not too far behind Jim Foskett here. And they have both passed Bratka. Bratka running ahead of Michael Bussell there. Michael is 62 laps down, but well, he's still running. And let's see. Foskett's had a problem. See what happened to the 47 car here. Ooh, scrapes the wall on the backstretch, nose into the inside wall. Oh, that's a pretty big hit. Hope he can make it back to pit road and get some of that fixed up. It looks like he can. And there he is. Damage not even all that bad, although it did feel and sound like a pretty big hit, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it just looked worse than it was. Bratka has, in fact, passed Patrica. So Bratka back in 5th position. And there's only 2.6 seconds to Jacob Wobry. So maybe that pit stop did help Russell somewhat. He does seem to be gaining on Jacob. And there's Jacob in that M&M machine. Still in 4th. Doran has had an issue. He has dropped off 2 seconds from Stouffer. Those tires are probably coming to the end of their life. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if we would see these guys coming into the pits fairly quickly. There you see it, 66 laps on those on that rubber. There he comes, both of them coming in. Doran staying out still, but Ballesteros and Stouffer are in the pits. Looks like Stouffer only took 2 tires here, and Ballesteros has taken 4, so that's why you see Stouffer beating him out by about 4 seconds. Now Ballesteros is back on his way. And Luke Doran is still moving. And there he is coming down pit road. Luke Doran in his number 4 machine. Ooh, almost loses it under braking there, locking up the front end. Hope he didn't speed. They're pretty particular about that. You don't have a lot of margin. Wait and see how many tires this guy takes. And with as little yellows as we are having, I think Drew Ballesteros probably did the right thing taking all 4, and I think Luke is doing the same thing. Absolutely, and he's back on his way. So Stouffer is your new leader. He's got 3 seconds on Ballesteros, and Doran is coming out of the pits right now. He is about, well, he still needs to get up to speed. He's about 9 seconds behind Stouffer. So even the top 3 here stretched out a little bit. We do have a little bit of a battle going on between Bratka and Wobry. Russell Bratka has narrowed that gap down to under 1 second. He's closing in, but not very quickly, but still, he is closing in. There you see Jacob Wobry. And that's Russell Bratka. There, now we're riding with Bratka, looking at the 51 of Wobry. Russell definitely gaining. He is bringing it down to less than half a second right now. Wilbury last pitted on lap 107, so he's got already quite a stint on those tires, and that is probably explaining why Bratka is moving in on him. Bratka pitted on lap 125, so those tires are a lot fresher than the 51 car. Wilbury has been looking in his mirrors. He's picked up the pace a little bit. And he's actually pulling away from Bratka again. He's not going to take that laying down. Yeah, it looks like Wilbury is actually extending that lead over Russell Bratka slowly but surely back up to 6/10 of a second, now even 7/10 of a second. So the advantage of tires that Bratka seemed to have there for a little bit is kind of equaling out again. Let's go check on our leader. That is still Christopher. He's got about 4.3 seconds on Drew Ballesteros, and he has been extending that lead because when they came out of the pits, it was 3 seconds. And then Drew Ballesteros has another 7.2 seconds on Doran. So the top three has been stretched apart by that pit stop. Wilbury, Bratka, Patrica are 1 lap down, then Ferris 4 laps down, Post 6 laps down, Foskett 11 laps down, and Bussell still running at 61 laps down. But as you can see, Bussell is going to be picking up Shelton and Shaughnessy's position there fairly quickly. Patrica coming in the pits. Ooh, overshoots the box. Gotta back it up. Yeah, Wilbury once again over a second on Bratka. They're being passed there by Doran, so going down another lap. Patrica back out. Nicholas Post coming in. Getting into the final quarter of the race here. Lap number 153. Well, we'll have to kind of wait and see what the answer of Drew Ballesteros will be to the fairly dominant performance we're seeing right now of Christopher. But as we remember, Stouffer took 2 tires, Ballesteros took 4. And it would not surprise me if that's going to be a factor after 30, 40 laps or so. Yeah, just a few more laps, folks. Give it a few more laps, and Bustle, if he can keep going, he's going to pick up 2 or 3 positions here. He's staying on the apron for now. Did he go into the pits? Nope. Picking up a couple of positions here for Bustle may not seem all that significant, but it's good points, and he's got the opportunity. He might as well take advantage of it. He has passed Shelton now. Shelton has been out for a while. And next lap, he will be picking up Shaughnessy and Ratliff's positions. And that'll put him in the top 10. There you have it. Still about 4.7 seconds to Drew Ballesteros between Stouffer and Ballesteros. Looks like Duran is catching up to Ballesteros a little bit. He's brought it down under 6.5. But so far, it doesn't look like Drew Ballesteros is actually gaining anything on Stouffer. So, tire advantage is really not working that bigly. And no direct battles on the track right now. Stouffer 4.6 on Ballesteros, then 6.2 to Doran, 32 seconds to Wolbury, 3.4 to Bratka, and then 2 laps to Petricka, another lap to Ferris, 3 laps to Post, another 3 laps to Foskett, and then Bustle. Well, again, he kept on moving after his repairs. He was very unlucky there at the beginning, being taken out. Ooh, what's going on? He's picked up that 10th position, and he's not going to gain anything more. And he is bringing it to pit road, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he called it a night. Exactly. And he's done what he needed to do. He picked up that top 10 position. Nobody is behind him that can catch him anymore, and there's nobody in front of him that he can reasonably catch anymore. So Michael Bustle, you did a good job there, picking up a few positions, being patient in the pits, but he's called it a night. 9 cars still running on the track. And the Differences between these top three guys are pretty much stabling right now. There's not much movement either way. There is Doran. And folks, I'm not really 100% sure about the schedule at this point. I'm kind of thinking we're going to go into a holiday break here after this race, but the full schedule has not been posted on the league page yet, so I can't really tell you that for sure. So keep an eye out for the announcements on Facebook. And once again, folks, bring to your attention the charity event we're doing tomorrow. Yours truly is actually going to be in the race, driving the short shift broadcasting Toyota Camry. It's an 80-lap race at Talladega to support Colton King, who was injured in a car crash on December 11th. They ask a donation of $10 minimum to enter the race. Check it out on Facebook. You can find the announcement on our Facebook page, Short Shift Broadcasting, or the Dreamers Racing Series page, also on Facebook. The event will be broadcasted live by Extreme Sim on YouTube. So come and join us at 3 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, and see what we can make of it. Always good to help somebody out that way. I love doing charity events, either as a broadcaster or as a driver. Either way, I'm always having fun with those kinds of events, and it's for a good cause, trying to help somebody out. Keeps us in the holiday spirit. Well, let's take a look at some other drivers here. Foskett is also still moving. He's had his fair share of trouble. You can see the car not exactly in tip-top shape anymore, but he's still rolling. His lap times are not great. He's at 33.5. That currently makes him the slowest driver on the track apart from Russell Bradka. He may have had an issue here. Well, he's back at it again. So Foskett with 33. Foskett is actually the only driver at this point that is above 33 seconds. Well, that's not true. Nicholas Post is as well. So let's move on up to Nicholas Post in the number 9 Monte Carlo here. Beautiful Napa livery on that machine. He is running in the 8th position. It's been a bit of a quiet race for him. He's just been running his laps. We haven't seen much of him. He not in a negative way or a positive way, really. He's just moving on and keeping it between the white lines, as we say. Tristan Udaferis in 7th position, running decent lap times. He's had his good moments in this race. Moved on up very early in the race, brought it into the top 10. And he's basically kind of stuck on 7th position, 4 laps down from the leaders. Bobby Petricka in 6th position, the 25 car, also running fairly decent lap times, creeping up towards the 33-second mark. And it looks like he is moving in on Bobry there. And same thing, he's basically just ran his race, not much we can tell other than that. Russell Bradka was fighting with the 3 other leaders there for quite some time until a slight touch with the 22 of Ballesteros kind of pushed him up into the wall, damaged the right side, and ever since then he's been a little bit struggling for speed. He's actually not doing all that bad. He's running 32.29 his last lap, and that's not bad at all. He's quicker than all the drivers in front of him. Wobry is bringing it to pit road on 173. It'll be interesting to see if the other drivers still need to pit. I doubt it. Because, well, it'll be close. They've done stints of 62. Well, 69. So they can do a stint of 70 laps. I'm sure of that. They should be good. They should be good then. Wobry is losing his position to Bratka at this moment as he comes back out of the pits. Bratka last pitted on 164, and he is quicker than everybody in front of him. But he is in fourth position. He's 2 laps down from the leader, which means that he would basically have to pass everybody in front of him 3 times to get to the lead, and that is a bit of a tough call, obviously, at lap 175. So we have 26 laps to go, so I don't think that's in a realistic possibility right now. Stouffer and Ballesteros still about 4.5 seconds apart. There's been a slight gain from Drew, but it's not that much. And the lap times of the top 3 guys are pretty much equal. They're 32.7, all of them. So there's nothing between these guys at the moment. We'll have to wait and see how the tire situation plays out for Stouffer. We know he only took 2 at his last pit stop, so that is the only thing that can throw a wrench in his efforts here. But we're getting pretty close to the end. And if they keep it green, I don't see that much happening. Because Ballesteros would still have to pick up a lot of speed. He is, in fact, a little bit quicker at this moment, but he's got a ways to cover here. 4.6 seconds is going to take him a while if you only 1/10 of a second quicker per lap. If he would remain being 1/10 of a second quicker than Stouffer, which he's actually not maintaining, it would still take him too much time to get to Stouffer. Luke Doran is actually dropped off even a little bit. He's now 7.3 seconds behind Ballesteros, 12 seconds behind Stouffer. But they're all 3 still on the lead lap, and a yellow would absolutely change everything and give them a shot at each other. But with only 9 cars running on track right now, the odds of a yellow are fairly slim. Alright folks, the information just reached me that we will be taking a 2-week holiday break in the series. So keep an eye out for a restart in January. And look who's here. The 24 car of Skylar Grissom is joining this race on lap number 181. And I think he's just out there to have a little bit of fun. He must have had some sort of issue, or maybe he was in race control and decided that they can do that stuff without him right now, because everything seems to be pretty quiet out here. That's funny. We'll give him a little bit of airtime here. Skylar Grissom. New livery on his car. Pretty nice. And again, folks, Christopher, your leader. Somebody looked like they were throwing up a little bit of smoke, maybe. But not much is changing anymore up here. Still 4.5 seconds to Drew Ballesteros, and then another almost 8 seconds to Luke Doran. I don't think we're going to see anything change here. We're closing in on the end. It is pretty much a run race unless something will happen, and a yellow will definitely throw a wrench in Stouffer's plans here. Especially if they would be close together on a restart, then I think that tire situation might actually be a little bit more significant. And as you can see, folks, it's a Chevy on top, it's a Ford in second, then it's 4 Chevys, Ford, Chevy, Ford, 3 Chevys, Ford, Chevy, Ford, Chevy. Bradka has got a pretty good lead on Wobry, 8.3 seconds, and that seems to be pretty stable as well. So it looks like Russell Bradka is at least getting 4th position out of this thing, and as said, after his little brush with the wall there, that kind of took the speed away from him, but I'm sure he's not all that unhappy bringing it home in 4th position. It looks like the number 10 car is in a little bit of trouble here. As Bradka went by, there there it is. He might have some suspension issues. He's having a hard time keeping that car straight. And he's actually brought it to pit road to get some tires, probably. Yep, tires on the outside. He's met the wall quite a few times by now, and I'm fairly sure, judging from what we saw there, that he's got some suspension parts that are not in their original condition. Skylar Grissom is bringing it to pit road. He had a few laps out there. And he is leaving the race. Or is he? Oh, he's back. All right. As Christopher will pass the line here the next time, there will be 10 more laps to go here at Charlotte, North Carolina. we have an incident for Ferris. He's off track. Let's see what happened here. Ooh, bring it back a little bit further. He's fighting that car. That's pretty obvious. It just washes into the wall. And he's not really helping himself with all that, but I'm sure he's just hanging on for dear life right now. It kind of looks like that car's just really not tracking anymore, and it's just all over the place. Yeah, he's still moving, trying to hang on to 7th position. The man behind him, Nicholas Post, is two laps down from him, so he might be able to make that and hang on to 7th position. We saw Patricia go by him there. That was also not for position. And there you have your leader. He's actually extending his lead now to 5.6 seconds. So Drew Ballesteros can't keep up at this point anymore. Kind of a done deal, I would say, unless we, unless we get a yellow. This is pretty much a race that's been run. But once again, folks, I will tell you this this stuff looks a heck of a lot easier than it really is. I've run that Thunderbird myself a couple times on some official races. It is not easy. These cars are really a handful. Now, I believe that this track here is fairly smooth, and it helps them a little bit. But we've seen them run these cars at the old Daytona, which is a pretty bumpy track, and they were having a lot of trouble with these cars. And they've gotten better. Like I said, this is round number 5. They've really improved. All of them is in those 4 rounds that we done before this. These guys have really adapted to this machine, and I think they're all having a lot of fun with it, and that's what matters most. You know, iRacing is supposed to be fun, and if you're having fun racing these cars, that is just I think that's just great. I guess I'm old enough to appreciate that older stuff a little bit better than maybe some of the guys that were born after these cars ever raced. But iRacing's got some older machines on there, like the Lotus 49 Formula One car of 1967. That is a open wheel race car with a 3-liter V8 engine. And it's got a lot of horsepower, probably right around 550 or 600 horsepower, no downforce, tires that are still grooved, and no grip at all, so that's a lot of fun to drive, and it definitely makes you appreciate a lot more what a risk those guys were taking back in those days, and those were the days where Formula One would lose a driver pretty much every month. Let's see if we're back here. I think I've lost you. There we are. We're back at it. I thought I lost everybody, but we're back at it. But as I was saying there, and then after that Lotus 49, they also made the Lotus 79, which is a Formula One car from the late 70s. That was actually one of the first aerodynamic ground effect cars, and also that is a ton of fun to drive. All right, folks, we are reaching the end here of this race. It looks like Stouffer is going to get the white flag next time he comes around turn 3 and 4. And it looks to me like the final few, maybe 5 or 6 laps, he has extended that lead even to almost 7 seconds. It looks like Ballesteros is basically saving everything to bring it home, There's no point in pushing anymore. Stouffer is going to be the one that is going to take that checkered flag. He is coming up on the back of Wobry there. And there you have it, folks. Chris Stouffer wins here in Charlotte, North Carolina, with a good lead on Drew Ballesteros. There comes Drew across the finish line. Second place for him. Then it's going to be Luke Doran in the number 4 machine, picking up third position here. Russell Bradka is going to bring it home in 4th position, 2 laps down from the leaders. There he comes. Jacob Wobry has already finished. No, he has not. He was just in front of the leader. He is going to bring it home here in 5th position. And I believe that brings everybody home. Christopher, show us some donuts, my friend. Well, no donuts. Well, there they are. Spoke too soon. He's actually pretty good at making those circles. He's been practicing. Hey, Luke, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me?
I got you.
All right, somebody's trying to blow up an engine right in front of our microphones there, but I hope you can hear me okay. Luke, it looked like you had a pretty strong car here all night long. You battled for the lead for quite some time. As opposed to Chris Stouffer, you took 4 tires on your last pit stop. I think Chris only took 2, and that kind of pulled you guys apart. Was there any hope of bringing it back up to the front, or did you get the most out of it, you think?
Uh, I don't know. I think I got the most out of it. It just the last 70 laps I was just slow, like um, so. I don't know how they went so fast the last 70 laps or so.
So, did you have any issues with damage on your car, maybe, or did you brush the wall somewhere or something like that?
No, I mean, I think I brushed a wall like on lap 10, so it obviously didn't affect it too much. But no, nothing happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was just they were gone. I mean, he took 2 tires, but and normally if you take 2 tires on this car, you're slower for about 5 laps, and he was still faster than me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it looked like there wasn't much a difference between Drew and Chris as far as that was concerned either. And it looked like Drew and you were also. I mean, you guys were pretty equal in lap times and equal in speed on that final stretch. You just were 6 or 7 seconds apart. That was basically it. And with only 9 laps, 9 cars on the track, the odds of a yellow weren't all that great either. So that's kind of what would have brought you back together, and then maybe you would have had another shot at it. But unfortunately, that was not the case.
Yeah, I mean, normally I like the long runs. I can save the tires better, but right before that last pit stop, I ran the tires off of it. So I was thinking about taking 2, but after I destroyed my tires, I didn't think the left sides were good enough. But looking back on it, I definitely would have tried it because I think I would have finished third and maybe mess with Drew some, but that would be about it.
I hear you. All right. Well, it is what it is, my friend, and I still think it was a pretty strong race of all 3 of you guys. You're the only 3 drivers on the lead lap there. You had some pretty decent battles there before that last pit stop. there was some pretty three-way battles going on between the three of you for the lead, and that was a lot of fun to watch. It looked to me like you guys are all getting these 87 cars under control pretty good. It took the first race was a little bit messier than this one, and this one was very clean by pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I think it just goes, based on the track because Charlotte, for the most part, is pretty easy to drive, and some of those tracks at the beginning, the car breaks loose a lot easier.
Yeah, it looked to me like this track is a heck of a lot smoother than some of the other tracks we've been on.
Oh yeah, I mean Phoenix, that Daytona track is absolutely insane with these cars, and you know, so hopefully, I don't know where we're racing. Oh, Talladega, so that should you should get a bunch of cautions there.
Yeah, Talladega is always a different animal. All right, Luke, thanks very much, my friend. Third place, good place to be in at the end of the race. Any love yous and thank yous you want to throw out in the world?
Thanks for all the guys showing up tonight. It was a pretty good turnout. Thanks for Chris and Drew for racing clean, and you us not getting together and still being able to race side by side like that. Um, Thank you for doing this. It's really cool when you get to go back and watch a broadcast after the race. And shout out to Skylar for putting this thing together.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Luke. I'm glad you like it, man. Let's move on to Drew Ballesteros. Drew, same thing for you. You guys had a pretty good three-way battle, and before that, even a four-way battle until Russell Bratt washed up into the wall. Did you guys touch at that point there? I believe you were fighting with him when he brushed up into that wall there.
I'll have to go back and look at it. It doesn't seem like I thought I was down on the white line and I didn't come up. It might have been net code. I know we were racing close the whole time, but I honestly thought we touched a couple other times besides that. I didn't think that was going to cause contact. So um, yeah, I'm not sure. I have to go back and check it out.
All right. Well, it didn't look very major to me. He just, I think you were on the bottom of him trying to turn into the turn, and he was basically trying to arc into the turn at the same point, and it was just, it could have been net code for sure, but it looked like just a minor touch. He still got up into the wall, and I guess it kind of damaged his panels enough for him to lose a little bit of speed because he could not keep up with you guys after that. He dropped off to about 12 seconds and even fell back to fifth for a while and then worked his way back past Walbury again. So it was a little unfortunate for him, obviously, but other than that, the three of you, it was pretty close for a long time until that last pit stop. I believe you took four tires. That gave Chris a little bit of an advantage because I believe he only took two, and it basically stayed the same. So the speeds were still equal, but there was just a gap in between you guys.
Right. And that's a very frustrating thing because that's now two races that have been, I was in the lead and then the eventual winner only took two tires. And I don't know. I don't really have words to say kind of the frustration that I feel from it, but there's no way that two tires should be able to last an entire fuel run and be quicker than four tires in that same amount of time. So, that's just kind of the name of the game. I guess if you can't beat them that way, you got to join them, and so we'll get our win eventually.
Yeah, I was going to say that might make you think about taking four tires the next time, but you think that is maybe a little bit of a not so realistic aspect of the tire model that this car is using.
Absolutely, it used to not be this way when the car first came out early in the summer. The tire model was set up so that tires were extremely important. The car rolled, it tore up tires, and if you didn't have them, you were in trouble. And we had several blown tires last season, and this season I don't think we've had very many at all. So tires have definitely changed from the updates that iRacing has put out. unfortunately, and that's kind of leveled the playing field. Um, there used to be a huge emphasis on trying to practice taking care of your tires, and now you can win by just taking two and going for a full fuel run. So I'm just gonna have to adjust the strategy going forward.
I hear you. And do you think it might have something also to do with the track? Because it seemed to me like from the previous tracks that we've been on, this one was probably the less bumpier than the other ones, and maybe that helped you all a little bit as well.
Sure, yeah, it's definitely much more smooth or much smoother than Atlanta is. Atlanta is wider, but it definitely tears up the tires and it has a lot more bumps into it. So Charlotte, you can definitely take your time and arc it into the corner and know that it's not going to bounce too much unless you hit the apron. Um, so that I think that is also a factor. I will have to see once we get to these short tracks to see how the tires hold up. I'd be hard pressed to believe that two tires on a full fuel run at a short track would hold up, but we'll just have to see when we get there.
All right. All right, Drew. Thanks very much for that insight. Any love yous and thank yous you want to throw out in the world?
Yep, thanks to my family and my friends and girlfriend who have stayed up and watched the race. I look forward to seeing all the family tomorrow when I head back to Georgia for Christmas. And thank you to you for broadcasting every week. I know tonight may not have been the most exciting, and I know for a lot of folks it wasn't very exciting with it being so spaced out. And thanks to Skylar, sponsors, and thank you to Chris and Luke. That was a lot of fun racing with them. It's fun being with them day in and day out, or week in and week out. So they did a great job. Congrats to Chris.
Thank you very much, Drew. Let's move on to Chris there. Chris, did I see that right that you only took the two?
Yes, you are correct.
All right. Well, again, same as I said to the other guys, it looked like the speeds really didn't change much because of it. But you guys were just further apart. But before that, there was a bunch of racing going on between the three of you, and also with Russell in there in the mix for a while. So I mean, that was a lot of fun to watch, and was kind of swapping positions. It looked to me like at some points you guys were being a little bit patient and then taking your opportunities where you could get them. How did it go for you tonight, man?
Well, I tried to pace myself. I screwed up qualifying royally. Started in the back, but wasn't worried about it because I just typically do well in the race. Just race pace, I'm better. I'm never good at qualifying, so I'm kind of used to starting in the back. But yeah, it's I drove up through the field. For some reason, I felt like I had to drive up there real quick, so I felt like I kind of burnt the tires off early on in the race. And when we did finally pit, though, I was paying attention to my tire wear. Noticed I didn't hardly use the left side tires, so at that point, I knew if it went green, I was going to do the old Luke Doran technique and only take right sides only. And I was listening to Drew there. I remember last season there was a race. I think it might have been here where it's the first time that I saw Luke do that was only take two tires. So there's I mean, I don't like how they've changed the car myself. I liked it when it first was released. I think there was a lot more to play with the tire wear. You could burn the tires off at 30 laps. Now you can drive the car a lot harder and get away with it. So I'll definitely say that. But it was a fun race tonight. I'm sweating. I'm worn out from it. I was glad that I could come out in the lead when I did because I had a feeling that Drew was probably going to do the same thing that I did, and we're going to come out together. But I was able to come out. I think I had about a 3 second lead, and I got stronger as the race went on. I noticed I pulled about another 3 seconds or so on him there at the end. I didn't get a whole lot of practice, so I hate to say this because I don't want to make anyone mad, but I was using most of that race trying to figure out my lines and get comfortable in the car. And of course, there at the end, I found my comfort zone at the right time.
Well, it's nice to hear you say that and be honest about it, but it looked like you got it under control pretty well. And I mean, from my point of view, it also looks like this track, this Charlotte track's really not the hardest track for this car to figure out.
No, it isn't. I mean, Charlotte. We've all raced Charlotte, and about every type of NASCAR on the service I'd expect, and IndyCar. The track doesn't change, but the car does. The setups do change from season to season. So, it's like last week. I'll tell you. I hit the wall, ended my race, and that was real frustrating because I put about 100 laps of practice in, and I didn't get anything to pay off for it. So, I felt really confident though going into that race, and I remember being right behind Drew there, just taking my time and letting the race come to me. And tonight I wasn't able to get as much practice in, but again, because it's a track that we're familiar with, we're Rockingham. I don't know about everybody else, but I hardly ever race there. So, that I felt like I really needed the practice. We're here. I guess I got away with, not doing my due diligence, but I'll take it.
For sure, absolutely. All right, Chris. Well, thanks very much, my friend. It's a good result for you. You very steady race for you. Hats off to you, man. I think all you guys. I've said this before. All you guys have looked like you all are getting this car under control really well. The amount of incidents is becoming less and less and less. And I mean, I've tried this machine myself, and compared to the modern Cup cars, it's definitely not an easy car to run at any track. It just you can tell it's an older version of a NASCAR, and it just feels a lot more simplistic to drive. Simplistic is maybe not the word. It's just more basic than the modern cars. The suspensions are moving a lot more. The car moves a lot more by itself. So hats off to all of you guys, and especially to you for bringing it home in first position. Congratulations. Any love yous and thank yous you want to share with us?
Oh, Luke and Drew for racing. Russell, everybody really. I raced around everybody at some point tonight, so we got a good group of guys here. So shout out to everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone, yourself included. Thanks for being up here in the booth. I know you mentioned we're not having as many cautions. I know that makes for a real boring race at times, but I appreciate you sticking with us and continuing to broadcast the league. And again, of course, to Skylar putting on the league. And I'll dedicate this one to Drew because I know that will get under his skin. So maybe I can do something next week too.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris. I would not say that things are boring. We've seen some good racing. Just after the final pit stop, it was stretched out a little bit more, and obviously the excitement gets a little bit tampered. But before that, I think we saw a really good race between the four of you and later the three of you fighting for position there, and obviously some people further in the back struggled a little bit more maybe, but I still have a good time. I like these old cars, and I like the group here. You guys have a pretty good group of guys that race each other clean and have a lot of fun that way. So I think that's just cool to be a part of.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you said there, and yeah, it was really good battling all race there. Even at the end, I know when it gets spread out, we're still battling. We really are. We're paying attention to the relative and try not to burn our tires off. There's so much going through our heads at that point. So, the race doesn't end until it does. And I was just watching those laps tick down, and they couldn't tick down fast enough. So, I appreciate it again, everything you said there, and we'll be back to put on a good show next time.
All right. Well, thanks very much, guys, and we'll wish you all Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from here. We'll see each other again in January for the next race. I have no idea what track we're going to, but I'm sure we'll figure that out before we get there. All right, folks, that'll do it for tonight. The Charlotte, North Carolina race is in the books. You heard from the oops, I got the wrong results up there. Those are the qualifying results. Sometimes it pulls those little stunts on me. There we go. There's your race results. We talked to Luke, Drew, and Chris about it. Sure, the final part of the race was not the most thrilling, maybe, but it is much like Chris said there at the end. It may look simple and easy from where we are sitting behind our screen on the couch or whatever, but these guys are still racing there, and despite there being maybe 5 or 6 seconds in between them, they're still fighting each other. They're still making sure that they're keeping their little mistakes to a bare minimum and making sure that they have their lines right and keeping their car under control. And yes, this is not the hardest track for this machine, but it's still not easy. You still have to be on your toes, and one of the hardest parts of racing long stints by yourself like that is the fact that you can lose your focus very easily, and that's when you start to make mistakes. And a lot of drivers don't like to slow down, even if they can, because they have plenty of margin on the next driver, but they don't like to do that simply because it just takes away from their focus and from their adrenaline pumping, and that's when they start to make mistakes. So for the drivers, a 7 second lead, even if it sounds really comfortable, it really isn't that much different from driving a little bit closer to the other drivers. So that's maybe something we all need to keep in mind. All right, folks, once again, we're going to wish everybody happy holidays, best wishes for the new year. Once again, want to quickly bring to your attention we have that fundraiser race tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do a race at Talladega. Yours truly will be in that race. If anybody is interested, check out our announcement on the Facebook page of Short Shift Broadcasting or Dreamers Racing Series. And if you can't join us, then at least keep your thoughts with Colton King, a young man that was pretty badly hurt in a car accident. He's going to have a long road of recovery ahead of him, so that's why we're doing something to help his family and him out there a little bit. All right, folks, that'll do it for tonight. Again, happy holidays, and until the next time, I hope you all stay healthy, and I hope you take care of one another.